Hi, this is Mark from Faith on Tap. We've talked before about leaving a legacy, and today we're going to look at this from the other end. What advice or direction did you get from your own parents? We heard a wide swath of answers, all fascinating in their own right, but they shared a characteristic we noticed. Some positive things, but again, not necessarily godly.
You know, they were godly in the context of they represented kind of God's heart in some way, shape, or form, but they had no reference or no foundation in the Word of God. So be kind to everyone. Well, yeah, I mean, that's a very biblical thing, but had no reference or no foothold in the scripture of love your neighbor as yourself, that type of thing.
So this may beg the question, is it an advantage or disadvantage in having Christian parents?
I'm not so sure that there's a big disadvantage in becoming a Christian without Christian parents, because I've known a lot of Christian parents who've raised children who want nothing to do with the church or Christianity. And I've known my parents who weren't Christian at all, who now have a son who's a pastor. And so I don't
Who's
think
that?
My brother.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure there's a very delineated connection between Christian parents and Christian children. Though, do I think there is a opportunity? I do.
Even so, we are all held accountable for our own walk.
I think we're all given at some point in time the opportunity to make a decision about God or not. The scripture talks about that God reveals himself in Romans, through creation. And so he doesn't keep quiet. He doesn't keep silent. He doesn't hide himself. So, but I do see your point of there could be more of an advantage to have parents who are godly, say atheists.
So enjoy the wisdom we gleaned and now share with you today on Faith on Tap. We are here at Newsylum Brewing in the beautiful town of Newtown, Connecticut. We just had a nice meal. We're ready to start talking to people. Liz and I had a double dose. I'll explain the charcuterie we had. It's a small one, but it had some neat things.
Feels very airport-esque, that charcuterie.
It does. You're right. You nailed that one.
It just had one meat, salami, had one type of cheese.
Lots of fruit, though.
Had lots of fruit.
Some apricots.
And some apricots. He misspoke. And it was fine. But the pizza, Liz?
We had the hot Italian, which is really nice. It had, the nice Italian meats and a couple of cool little things, bourbon barrel, maybe
Read it
syrup.
well.
It just had a couple of nice flavors to add onto it. So it was sweet and hot.
And you'd rate that at 1 to 10?
Probably a 9. I like the crust. It was cooked nicely, very crisp crust. It was small, but it was good.
Well, the correct answer was 8.5, but thanks for playing. And Dennis,
came close, but
you wanted to have a hot dog. You couldn't have the hot dog.
I was going for the dueling dogs.
And what feast were you munching on?
Well, because the fact that they had no hot dog rolls, I decided to go with the full spectrum pretzel. It's a really big pretzel.
Yes. So he had a big pretzel, ladies and gentlemen.
And it had salt, and there was
salt on the pretzel.
They hang it like naan bread. This thing was massive.
There's spicy brown mustard. But I thank Mark and Liz for allowing me the airport charcuterie grazing because I needed protein.
He did.
Yes, son.
And speaking of protein, our question today has nothing to do with protein. What life lesson from your mother and father do you implement in your life today? I expect to have some good answers because it's not spiritual, it's not religious. Everyone should have a response.
Because they're all there.
What do you think's going to transpire from this conversation?
I absolutely think that if they've had any type of, I don't want to say normal, but normal relationship with their parents, not Bill Cosby normal or disgruntled normal, I think everyone has a lesson or something from either mom or dad that they live into, something they remember. Or, I was thinking about the question, and it could be grandparents too. Sometimes grandparents leave that impression of legacy, something in somebody.
Let's have some fun tonight. Let's see what they have to say. What life lesson did you take from one of your parents that you still apply today in your life?
That is a very good question. That's a very good question. I'm going to say treat everybody the same, no matter what.
And you do?
I do.
And
I try my hardest to do so.
Yeah,
I'm a dick to everybody. Yeah, that is
you're
true.
Consistent then.
Yes.
So that's who is that? Is that your mother or father or both instilled that into you?
I'm going to say both because they both come from humble origins and they ended up doing well in life based on their hard work. It was their work that brought them to where they were. I guess that they taught me treat everybody.
Why do you suppose they thought that was important?
Well, because life is different for everybody and everybody has their different experience. That doesn't mean that we have to treat anybody differently. Just because you're rich or well off or whatever the case may be, doesn't mean that you're worse or better than anybody else. So treat everybody the same and you'll be okay.
Excellent. I loved your answer. Very good.
Yeah.
So that's something you take with you and you made it part of who you are.
I don't care what you have, what you don't have. It's who you are.
Awesome.
Yeah,
So I could be a jerk to you and you'd still treat me nice.
I try my hardest.
I'm going to try now to, no.
No, truly. It's like,
that's
I don't
awesome.
care. It's like,
That's awesome.
yeah, like literally, I work in healthcare. Like that's my bread and butter.
Oh, wow. Very good then. Thank you. Thank you very much. So what's a life lesson that one of your parents might have taught you that you still live by today?
It was to value every day as it's your last. Our life here is a very finite time, and I feel like it's very easy to kind of take that for granted day after day after day. And I feel like that it's important to value your time here and the people you spend it with. And
So how do you do that? What does that look like in your daily life?
I just to do things that job that I feel like I'm validated in and that I feel like I'm making progress and have purpose in. And
What's your job?
I work in healthcare. I'm a nurse.
You're the same job, or
Yeah, we work
are
together.
you a therapist? Are you
RNs? Right?
Oh, RNs? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Therapist. Yeah.
all right? As I'm a teacher, so it becomes
there you go.
therapist as
Yeah,
well. So I
yeah.
know.
I don't know how you do what you do.
Yeah, lots of alcohol. But,
But yeah, it's to treat every day like it's your last and to really value your time here because it can go by quick and in a blink of an eye, years just melt away. As I've grown, I've seen how true that is.
So when you get up in the morning, no matter how groggy or whatever you are, you have a little bit of a jump in your step because you're excited about taking on the day.
I try.
You try.
I'm human.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
you
Like,
try.
you're gonna have your days where you're gonna sleep in, but I tried to value my time here and to spend it as productively and purposefully as I can.
Give me an example of the last time you could recall that you felt that you really had to apply that in a situation.
Like I can do the trope and say COVID.
Yeah, you
From
must
our
have.
perspective. That's the
One of
waking
the last-
up and going to work and dealing with what we did and saw. That was probably the hardest. Is just trying to do what you had to do.
Without blowing your brains off.
Yeah, that was probably I would say the hardest time.
Okay, and were you successful more times than not?
For the patients, we did what we could. We saw a lot of people die. Held a lot of hands as people died, and that was the hard part. Was knowing that they needed people there, but we did our best. You can't save everybody.
Right, but your goal to make every day like your last, you tried to.
I try to be as purposeful as I can.
And hopefully people that you worked with saw that and were changed. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you for your time.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks.
Appreciate it.
My name is Susie.
Hi, Susie. I'm Liz. Nice to talk to you.
I have a question for you. Is there something that you got from your parents, like a piece of advice that you still hang on to now?
So the first day I went to work when I was 16, my father said, put a pencil over your ear and a clipboard under your arm and make it look like you know what you're doing.
Great. And so what do you do?
That's what I do. I put a pencil over my ear. Still do it.
That's fantastic.
Fake it till you make it. Yeah, now it's a tablet.
Oh, that's
I carry
awesome.
my laptop.
So, and this is something that it's just really done you well over the years, and do you feel like it gave you confidence right from the get-go?
Absolutely.
That's really
that
cool.
Is the fake it till you make it mantra.
I love it.
That's my whole life, my whole career.
Awesome. So now I'm talking to Bob. And Bob, so what is some advice or information you got from your parents that still hangs in there for you?
He always said one hand washes the other.
And how has that worked out in your life?
It's very true. It's very, very true. It's gotta, you have to be able to, find common ground and,
Great.
it's,
So can you give me an example? an example where this has worked out in your life?
All the time. I live by it.
Okay.
You work with other people and you treat them well, they treat you well.
There it is.
And,
So it's like almost like the golden rule kind of thing.
Yeah.
All right.
Do unto others as you want others unto you.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And that's something you hold dear.
Yeah.
And which of your parents instilled this
My
in you?
father. Tough guy, but taught me some things.
Okay. But no. Okay.
Which was quite surprising.
Okay.
Politics. I wouldn't choose
People
that.
do
but-
that? That's still a thing?
In this country.
And the younger one becomes a cop.
Yeah.
It's also surprising. Yeah.
Interesting.
You planted the seed, though.
Sorry?
You planted the seed.
Yeah. Maybe
Yes.
yes.
Planted the seed.
Yeah, maybe
Well,
yes.
I love that it's being passed down from generation to generation.
Right.
So what do you do that you love?
In a business, I studied pharmacy and I work in the pharmaceutical industry.
Okay.
That's what I wanted to do.
Very nice.
And I meet these nice guys here, and that is great. Yeah.
Very cool.
Does evil exist? And as you answer that, please tell me your name, and then you can launch into your answer.
Would you like to answer that?
What's the question?
Does evil exist?
You betcha.
And your name, sir?
Don.
Who?
Don.
Don. So tell me, why do you think that, Don?
Because I know it.
How?
Oh, I met many evil people in my lifetime.
And how do you deal with those evil people?
I ignore them.
Do
You betcha.
and is that your secret to a long, happy life? Ignore the evil people?
Absolutely.
You sir are awesome. I must admit. So let me ask you, what is like the worst person you've ever met that you just had to walk away from?
It's a good question. I can't recall.
Good, because you forgot all about them already. Thank you, sir. Anyone else like to answer that question? Name?
My name is Debbie.
Debbie. Nice to meet you,
And-
Debbie. A little bit closer.
A little bit closer. I would say that good to evil to me are more of a karma issue.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if I believe in true evil I don't believe in the devil evil for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in negative energy and positive energy that we all exhibit in this world. And I think that sometimes some people have that negative energy that is just rises to the top and that positive energy that sinks all the way to the bottom. So
Do you think that there's a source of this negative energy and positive energy that we all seem to share somehow?
can you define source? Like I'm a little
Like an originator, like something that, okay, this is where good energy comes from. This is where bad energy comes from. Or is it a very individualistic thing for you?
No, sometimes I think that negative energy might be something that is built up through the history of, I want to say, I do feel that the negative energy is people driven, not animal driven. So I do think that maybe that negative energy that is in the universe has accumulated. So it's a cumulative thing. So I don't think it's always necessarily from one person.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So it's kind of we all share a little piece of it, and it's a building of a movement or emotion of energy.
Yeah, that would be probably the best philosophy I would describe, that it's something that can be negative energy that is like historical in context, that is
So like
where does that energy go?
past.
Right. So if a person dies, and where does that energy go? And maybe the lifetime of negative energy, where does that energy go? Maybe it's a well somewhere that just is evil. So the evil, again, I don't believe in the devil, but I do believe in the accumulation of negative energy, and there is a well of negative energy.
And one quick last question.
Sure.
Does the accumulation of this negative energy equate to evil?
I think, I don't know. I kind of feel like it can maybe, I don't know. I don't know if it's I don't have an answer to that. Maybe it'll evolve as
Well, cool.
time goes on.
Thank you for your honesty on that one.
Yeah.
Not just trying to blow some smoke.
Yeah.
Sir, would you like to take a crack?
Turn.
I'll give it a shot.
Your name?
Steve.
Steve. Is there evil?
Like pure evil?
Sure.
No.
No.
I think there are people that can be evil for whatever is going on in their life, however they were raised, born, values, all that. And they can, if they have that bad setup situation, they can definitely become evil. You know, there are definitely people out there that are extremely evil.
But they're not necessarily 100% and or the source of evil.
I don't think they were born that way.
So how are we born then? Are we born in a neutral state? Are we born more inclined to one or the other?
No, I would say neutral.
Neutral. And so is...
In a perfect world, you know, but then who were you born to? Where were you born? What country?
So circumstances will dictate what...
Financial.
Gotcha.
You know, everything has an impact.
So is evil really predicated on nurture and not anything to do with nature?
I think there's some of each.
Some of each?
You know, I'm sure there's people that were just born that have some wiring issue that are really predisposed to easily being pushed to evilness.
So
evil
would it be fair to say that could evil be a manifestation of something like a mental health dilemma, a mental health illness in someone?
So there's probably 10 different variables that could all affect how much evil you are or can become. Right?
Wow. Cool. Thank you, sir.
And like Bush said, you got to get them evil doers.
And your name?
Melissa.
Melissa, how are you?
I'm doing okay.
Melissa, evil, does it exist?
I believe it. I like Debbie, don't believe in the devil. Don't believe any the organized religion kind of teachings. But I believe people have the capacity for both good and evil. And I think generational trauma can cause some people to act on that evil or that darker side of themselves. I think everyone has a capacity for both. It's what you kind of choose.
And so are you with Steve when the whole kind of the how you're brought up or your life's experiences kind of lead you
yes
in one
and no.
way or
I
another?
think it is nature and it is nurture, because there are people that are brought up in a loving household and they turn into an evil
serial killer or something,
right, a serial killer, mass shooter, whatever. I believe people can I don't know that there's anyone who's just has no redeemable qualities. It's what they choose to focus on.
So even those people who manifest the worst of the evils have something redemptive in them.
I'd like to think so. I think I'm an eternal optimist, but
shooting for the underdog.
Yeah. I always try to look at I always try to be grateful and look at the bright side of things and take people for where they are, but yeah, you look at how things are going in our country right now, and it's you wonder, does good have a shot anymore? I'm hoping.
Cool. Well, thank you very much for your answers.
You're welcome. That was so fun.
And we're back. Liz, what's new?
Oh, I can't believe you even asked me that. It's the 13th letter of the Greek alphabet, but I'm sure you knew that already.
What's new? 13. I get it. Yeah. Yeah. Very,
way above my pay grade.
Yeah. And that was the voice of the Warden of Wisdom.
No.
Yes.
I will not judge wisdom
You
only
challenge
by
them.
the word of God.
So
but
you
no.
Okay. Well, I had like 4 good ones in a row, and I could not keep that up. So I want to
No.
make sure you wouldn't like.
Well, you
the
definitely
warden,
didn't.
The warden of wisdom. So our question was, what life lesson did you learn from either your mom or your dad as a kid, and you still carry with you or practice today? I think pretty much what we thought coming in is what we got. You had some nice answers. I was talking to a couple RNs, Chris and Jesus. They're very thought-provoking. For Jesus, he learned from his parents. They said his parents had humble beginnings, and they ended up fairly successful in life. And the secret to their success, according to Jesus, was treating everybody the same, which was interesting because Chris hated billionaires. And I said, would you treat the billionaire the same? And he didn't like that. But
there were no good billionaires.
It's impossible for a billionaire to be good.
To be a good person, yeah.
Which is interesting.
Puts me in an awkward position.
Yeah.
Not me.
A couple of pastors and teachers. I mean, hey, Chris, he says he values every day as it's your last. That's what his parents taught him. He said that life is finite and you value your time. He tries to have his job validate him, and he tries his best to get excited about the day, even though it has trials and tribulations. That's good advice from parents, to treat every day like your last and treat everybody the same.
I remember he would also said something about doing things during your day that have purpose, that have meaning behind it.
Right. And that was good. I like that.
I talked to a handful of people. First, talked to Susie. So these people were all at the same table. So Susie said, basically, fake it till you make it. She goes, just grab a clipboard, throw it into your arm, and walk around like you know what you're doing, and pretty soon it'll catch up with you. And my guess is she was a presence. She definitely had a presence to her, and I bet she's one person who could definitely pull that off. And she said she did with her newest job.
And that advice came from her parents.
Yeah, that was it. And then we had Bob, and he said from his father, he learned that one hand washes the other. And then he kind of, which is a different thing, because then he moved it into follow the golden rule, which really isn't one hand washes the other.
It absolutely is not.
They're like very different from each other. It's like, I'll help you if you help me, rather than
condition. One's conditional,
one's conditional,
not.
One's not. So it was like, okay, Bob. And then there was Sven, and he said, do what you love. And when I asked him to follow up on that, he said he always wanted to work at a pharmaceuticals company. Wow. And so I just found that entertaining. So it's like, and he said he instilled that in both of his kids, and that they're pursuing every one of them that was at the table gave me a fake name, which is fine.
Hopefully they meant something by it.
I mean, I'm sure he had some German name, but I doubt it was Sven.
Well, for me,
Austrian.
I had a table of 4. Don was the father to Debbie, and Don was an older gentleman, just a spitfire dude. He said, do good and be good. And I tried to get more out of him, and some of the words were unintelligible, but do good and be good. And then Debbie, she got from her mother that there's going to be things in life that you don't want to do. You need to do them anyway.
That's solid.
That's good.
Yep. Steve, I think it was his aunt. You need to peel your potatoes before making your mashed potatoes.
Unless you want to get whooped upside the back of your head.
Yes, whooped upside from the Irish, I think, grandmother. And Melissa,
what was the implication of the mashed potatoes?
Well, the implication was crappy mashed potatoes are good mashed potatoes.
I thought that sometimes you have to do the hard work before you can appreciate the goodness. No? I thought that was pretty obvious.
You got that out of mashed potatoes?
Well, yeah, it's like when I tell my students, okay, this is not going to be an exciting time, but sometimes you have to do the dishes before we can eat again.
I missed that.
I'm not sure Steve was on that level.
Okay.
But Melissa, she was taught to be kind to everyone because you don't know the story behind their life, which I thought was very good.
That's good.
And then she said her grandmother used to always tell her, the older the bull, the tougher the horns. And so I'm just thinking.
Feel free to comment on our Facebook page and tell us what you think that means.
Yes, please.
Bring that out to our personal level. What are some things that we've learned from our parents that you carry with you today?
My dad used to tell me I like to consider myself an energetic child. Parents might have called it behavioral issues. I don't see the correspondence. But my dad used to tell me, because I used to have to apologize a lot. And he used to tell me, Dennis, your actions speak so loud, I can't hear what you're saying.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
I've carried that with me my entire life.
Okay, I can't bring it down to a nifty idiom, but there was frequent conversations that I would have with my mother, and one was 11 or 12, where she goes, what do you think what makes somebody a human? I don't know what prompted this conversation. And so, in my 12-year-old age, I said, they stand up and they talk and they do this. And she goes, well, what about a baby born without a brain? Is that a human?
Wait, this is your mom at 12?
When I was 12.
Oh my.
Yeah. And I'm like,
goodness gracious.
Yeah, they're still human. She goes, well, what's the difference? They still have the spirit of God in them. So, I can't argue with that. So it's like looking at people and trying not to minimize who they are. Always remembering that no matter how different people might be, they still are. They were created by God one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
What did I learn? Well, my father, we grew up poor. My father was poor. So he ended up learning how to fix everything. No matter what it is, we didn't take it to the shop, or we didn't have a guy come over. We never had a guy. The guy was him. And I learned how to do stuff from him. And then when I, first was on my own, I was poor, and I learned how to do things on my own too. So it was just basically, that was one of the things I learned from my father. He was also really patient. I try to think I have patience. As a teacher, you're going to have that if you can be successful. My mother had two parts. During the kids phase of her life, then when she was older and wiser, there's two different moms there. When she did get older, she did have a childlike faith. I always admired that, because I always struggled with the faith, but she would just believe. She just believed because, and it's like, but okay, and she was always happy. So she had something happening there.
Mm-hmm.
So those are some of the lessons I've learned. Now I'm thinking, because I know people who grow up in a not a great household. The mother and parents aren't Christian, and there's problems, and they have a big disadvantage becoming a Christian. And is that fair? How do we respond to that?
I'm not so sure that there's a big disadvantage in becoming a Christian without Christian parents, because I've known a lot of Christian parents who've raised children who want nothing to do with the church or Christianity. And I've known my parents who weren't Christian at all, who now have a son who's a pastor. And so I don't think—
Who's that?
My brother.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure there's a very delineated connection between Christian parents and Christian children. Though, do I think there is a opportunity? I do. But I look at my own children, and I was too Christian with my daughter and much better Christian with my son.
A better Christian means less Christian?
It actually does. Unfortunately, it really does.
Meaning, what do you mean by that?
More patience, more, you can go out for Halloween.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
That type of thing.
Yeah.
We don't have to go to the harvest party. You can go with your friends. And you don't have to play on the church league on Sunday afternoon, because all those kids suck anyway at soccer.
I would disagree with that. I do think it's a major advantage if you have two parents that were God-centered. Yeah, not every child who's God-centered is going to be a Christ follower, but when you have no guidance at all, no moral compass that was given to you, it's so easy to.
So a moral compass, I think, would be different from the Christ thing.
Well, when the parents give you a background of morality, of even persistence. I used to go to church every Sunday. Mm-hmm. That's what we did. It became in me. That's what I'm supposed to do. You go to church. So things like that, and I think, and seeing their lives, etc. I do think that definitely helps versus having atheist parents, people who just don't even think of God. I think it's going to be more difficult for them to find God, and the whole idea of it being fair. That was kind of the question. Does fairness come in play with that? Is it fair for you for God to give you godly parents versus ungodly parents?
Fair?
Yeah.
I don't think fair has anything to do with it. It just is. I think we're all given at some point in time the opportunity to make a decision about God or not. The scripture talks about that God reveals himself in Romans, through creation. And so he doesn't keep quiet. He doesn't keep silent. He doesn't hide himself. So, but I do see your point of there could be more of an advantage to have parents who are godly, say atheists.
Or people who just never even thought about.
Right. Or moral relativism or something like that. Yeah. But not necessarily the closing argument, though. Because, being a pastor, I know many pastors whose children want nothing to do with the church. And I think that has to do with the church. I've seen many heathen parents whose children are just on fire for God.
Well, yeah, you're going to get from both sides. I just think as a parent, I was very conscientious about trying to instill values into my kids. I was trying to be the best father you could be. making tons of mistakes along the way. But that's, that's what your goal is, right? As a Christian dad, you want to do the best you can when you don't have parents that really were to have great examples of that, but you're trying and you goof up along the way, but you wanted them to give them the best advantage of their life to define God. So would you say that parents influenced you in any way to pass along, so did your parents at all have any, I guess, Dennis, you almost said they don't, but Liz, would you say that your parents had any influence on your Christian walk today?
Absolutely. I think I was in it must have been first or second or third grade when we started church. And it was the kind of church that had, Sunday school and flannelgrams and all that stuff. And I think having that constant exposure to the story of God, both at church and at home, was very pivotal in shaping who I am now.
You have any thoughts on that, Dennis? Or
I remember going to church once with my parents. It was a Pentecostal church, and we sat in the back. I remember very clearly the pastor being up in front, who I assume is the pastor because I didn't know what a pastor was then, speaking in tongues. And my brother and I in the
That's
back,
real scary,
laughing our heads off, like, what is going on?
Yeah.
But my parents sent me to Catholic schools my entire life, grades 2 through 12. So there was a seed planted, I guess, about God, though I was told in the Catholic school, 7th grade, when I asked the priest, I was researching Peter because he was my patron saint of confirmation. And I forget what the contention was, but I asked our priest, I said, in my reading of the Bible, it says this, but you said that. And he looked at me very gently and he said, your job is not to read the Bible. Your job is to listen to me when I tell you about the Bible. And I said, okay, at 7th grade. Yeah. And I can't even remember what it was about, but that had a lasting effect on me of this is for the elite and I'm just the peon. And I just go into the little room and tell, my 7 Hail Marys and 4 Our Fathers, and I lied to my parents. And
okay, so those experiences were not necessarily positive for you. So that's all right. So in conclusion, we're just kind of bouncing around the idea of having basically a legacy left behind from our parents and what we could learn from that. We learned that a lot of people that we've talked to in Connecticut, they had some good moral values, nothing that I remember as being godly as examples. And I'm guessing you, Dennis, you had some positive things, but again, not necessarily godly.
They were godly in the context of they represented kind of God's heart in some way, shape, or form, but they had no reference or no foundation in the Word of God. So be kind to everyone. Well, yeah, I mean, that's a very biblical thing, but had no reference or no foothold in the scripture of love your neighbor as yourself, that type of thing. So,
yeah, and I have to say the same thing, fake it till you make it. I mean, these are all practical. One hand washes the other. Do what you love. So they're all just very idioms, yeah. But they are things that you can't. They're applicable in one sense or another, and they're all they're meant in a positive way. Mm-hmm. They didn't pick up from their parents. Don't beat your children. They didn't get anything negative. They were getting something.
Right.
So I guess in conclusion, the best way after hearing everyone and or reflecting is if people who are listening maybe think of how do you want to be remembered? What's something about you that you'd like your kids to carry on, to remember you by? Maybe that would be a good thing to practice in the next couple of weeks and forever.
There was an author that once said, an inheritance is something you leave for someone. A legacy is what you leave in someone.
Nice.
Not my words.
Nice.
Is some author unknown?
Yeah, but
and on that note, we'll close our podcast. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.
Tune in next episode when you'll hear Dennis say,
the egg comparison doesn't work for you.
Hey, awesome listener. If you're enjoying our podcast, give us a little love. Like, share, follow, and snag this episode for later. It's the easiest way to keep the good times rolling and make our day. You're the best. Thank you.